Hi, and welcome back to World War Whiskey. Today we have a special battle for you. We have two whiskeys that are peated that aren't Scotch. Go figure, but it is true. So our first one here is an American whiskey made right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So both of these are 40%ers, and both of these are single batches. But the Corsair Triple Smoke, as I held up there for you guys to get a good look at, is a small batch USA made whiskey that is peated. Now the Conamera is an Irish whiskey that's also peated. So you don't see much of this, but it is out there. And both of these are very good whiskeys. I've tried them both. It's been about a year or two since I've had either of these. So a lot's changed in a year for me with what I've tried, with the amount of peat that I've had on different scotches and whiskeys. But I do remember both of these being peaty, having a good smoke flavor to them. And, you know, I was thinking of a good matchup that's not an everyday matchup, of something that's different. And I think these hit it on the head. You know, peated whiskeys that aren't Scotch, because Scotch is not everyone's thing. And these aren't Scotch. They're not going to fool you for Scotch. They taste more like whiskey. And so let's just see which one of these goes on. Unfortunately, one of them will have to go home. And that's sad, because I think these are both great whiskeys, but such is life on World War Whiskey. So let's get into tasting these, the tasting notes. I've already added some water to both of these. Again, the single malts, which both of these are, open up the flavors a little bit when you add a tad of water. Yeah, it is smoky, but it is smooth and smoky. So it's not going to punch you in the mouth like Lefroy. These are, I think I said, both 40%, so they're not super strong on the alcohol. It says on here that they take malted barley, each smoked by different fuel, cherry wood, peat, and beech wood, all right, to kind of make this Corsair Triple Smoke. So kind of a complex, different type of whiskey making there. But if you look at the labels there, check out that back label. It's not straight, is it? Nor is the front label that straight, which tells me this is good whiskey, because it's a true small batch. In fact, batch 245 and bottle 532. So they number it. But I point that out because these are being hand labeled. These are not machines labeling it, because that is not a straight label. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but hey, who cares if your label's straight or not, as long as the whiskey's good. But as I said, you're getting a true small batch whiskey here with the Corsair Triple Smoke. So the aromas are definitely, they hit you with a very American whiskey, a Kentucky bourbon type aroma. So it's not going to smell much different than your traditional bourbons, but the flavor is definitely slightly different. It could fool you for a bourbon, but then you kind of taste this little, you know, peaty, smoky flavor coming in that isn't traditionally bourbon, but it's still sweet like an American whiskey. And again, this isn't to be a bourbon, it has to be from Kentucky. This is made in Tennessee, but it has that type of flavor. Very good. I mean, this is something you're gonna mix in a Manhattan and an old fashioned, and it's gonna add a little flair to your drink and make it a little something special. Almost like they put some vermouth or some spices in there. Just by adding the whiskey, without adding those things. So let's try out the Conamera now. Now, another reason I chose these two is not just that they're peated whiskeys that aren't Scotch, but they're both in that $40 to $50 range. So they're going to be a little higher than, you know, some of the $20 stuff we've tasted. But, you know, for a lot of people, that's worth it, to pay a little more and get something really unique. But these also were really highly ranked by the Beverage Tasting Institute. I believe the Corsair Triple Smoke scored a 93 and the Conamera scored a 94. So almost dead even. And anytime, you got to be careful with some of those scores you see online, only because it's not always the same person reviewing these and tasting them. And even if it is, they're not tasting them head to head at the same time. So a point difference is really inconsequential in tasting these scotches, or whiskeys, I should say, not scotches, head to head. So keep that in mind. You know, I've seen some scores. We saw an Irish whiskey a few weeks back that had a score of 90, and tasting it head to head, I just didn't think it was that impressive. But let's get into the Conamera. Wow, this one, the smell on this one is very different. I'm not sure I smelled the whiskey like this. It's very Irish whiskey in the aroma, and that it's sweeter, a little floral. Doesn't have that bourbon type of smell at all. But you can tell it's a little bit different than Jameson or something like that, and that it tastes or smells really unique. And tastes really unique too. Probably should have done a little cleansing there between the two. And again, I think we've mentioned this in previous episodes, but so you can use a little spoon or straw, just dab a little water in there, opens up these single malts. So, try the Corsair one more time. Very good. Very buttery, kind of on your palate, just kind of melts on your tongue. It has a nice linger as well. Conamera has more of almost a grassy, probably the peat, you know, more of a peaty, earthy kind of flavor going on. Not real sweet, very smooth. This is tough. This is tough because these are very different. I would say for sure, if you're going to mix these, you want to go with the Corsair Triple Smoke. All right, so if you're going to be putting this in a Manhattan or any type of mixed drink, this is going to be the one that's going to have the right flavor for that. If you're, drinking them neat on the rocks, that could change. Interestingly enough, the Conamera 12-year, which is also peated just like this one is ranked by Mirror UK, the website, as one of the top 10 whiskeys in Ireland. Okay, so that made their top 10 list. This isn't the 12-year. The 12-year is more expensive. So to keep it within range, we got to be fair. And I haven't even come across the 12-year, to be honest with you. In fact, a friend from Ireland brought me this one out when we had some whiskey tasting. So he brought that out for me. This one I picked up at a local liquor store that carries a lot of different stuff. The cheapest I've seen this is around 45 bucks on Flavor. I'm not totally sure how you pronounce it. It's it's kind of a subscription website. And we're going to actually test some of their stuff as I got it. So I wouldn't recommend or not recommend them. I've ordered a few things, haven't had any issues. It is a subscription, something you can check out if you guys wish, but they don't sponsor me, or a lot of times the prices are lower, not always. So that's where you just have to check. For this though, this is the cheapest I found it. I bought this at a liquor store, but I think I paid like $55 for it, but I have seen it on the website Flavor for about $45. The Conamera I picked up right around $40, but I've also seen it for as high as $50. So you're going to pay in that $40 to $50 range for both of these. So who is the winner? The first taste, I wasn't sure. As I tasted a few more times, I started to be swayed slightly, but I'm going to double check right now. We got to be sure. We need surety. We can't send home the wrong whiskey. I will say this, both of these are not as smoky as I remember them. Having, as I said, many more scotches and Islay scotches over the last year or two, your level of smoke and peat, or what you think is smoky and peaty, do indeed change. The Conamera is peatier, is slightly smokier to me. But as I said, both are very unique and very good. And you can definitely tell there's smoke there. But it's not overwhelming. Even less so in the Corsair Triple Smoke. So if you want something that is smoky enough for you to enjoy, but not smoky for your friends to complain about, the Corsair Triple Smoke is your man. If you want something to just sit on and sip neat and really enjoy, I'm going to have to go with the Conamera. So being we're ranking these neat and we're sipping these neat, the Conamera is my winner this week. It was a tough one. Both of these are excellent whiskeys. I think they're worth the $40, $50 price points that they're sold at. And I'd be happy to sit and drink either of these neat and enjoy it, even on the rocks or with some, whiskey rocks, not on ice, but even on ice, I think they would be good that way as well. If you're going to mix it, definitely the Corsair Triple Smoke. And totally neat, the Conamera. But I do feel, if I'm going to score these, I do feel the Conamera. I think I said that was scored like 1 point higher. I think they got the rating right this time, in that it's slightly more unique. As I said, I've never really had anything quite like the Conamera. I feel like the Corsair Triple Smoke, I feel like I've tasted bourbon very similar. It's just some, American whiskey, Tennessee whiskey, bourbon. Not that those are the same, they're not, but in that vein with a little smoke to it. But again, excellent. Can't say enough good things about these guys and what they're doing. A lot of unique whiskeys they're making out of there in Tennessee. So it's a shame to see these guys go home, because I believe in what they're doing, and they're really putting it down as a company from what I've seen. So I like especially small batch, unique stuff. But I think the Conamera here is a slightly more unique, slightly better, at least in my opinion, whiskey. So it's hard to send this guy home. He was near and dear to me. Getting this was my first smoked whiskey that wasn't Scotch, and so this was really something I was happy about and hyping up and telling everybody about. But the Conamera is equally as good, and for me, slightly better. So cheers, guys. We'll see you next week. Pick these up if these sounded good. Again, you don't always have to pick up the one I say is the winner. I try to describe them as most accurately as I can for you, because, if you like bourbons or American whiskeys and don't like Irish whiskeys, then yeah, you might like this one better. But I would encourage you, give this one a try, because it's not your typical Irish whiskey. It's not one that you've seen before, so to speak, or had before. It's unique, and it's going to be something that you're going to enjoy, your friends are going to enjoy, and you could mix it. You can mix it and do stuff with it. But as I said,
think this is a better mixer. This is one that's slightly better straight, but both are great. Pick one of them up, and we'll see you next week.